Oh, there you are. Welcome. My name is Rudy von Strasser, and I'm the owner and winemaker at von Strasser Winery. I'm in the middle of making my 2009 vintage, and once again, I think we have a great year ahead of us. I really appreciate you joining me for this video. It's impossible for me to visit all of my different markets, and we thought that this would be a great format to help introduce you to the von Strasser Winery, to help introduce you to my wines, my winemaking, and my style, and also to give you some information to help you successfully represent my wines out in your marketplace. I'm a first-generation American citizen. My mother comes from Hungary and my father comes from Austria. I was born in New York City, and I got into the wine business in a very interesting fashion. I started my journey as a winemaker 31 years ago while studying apple farming at the University of New Hampshire. I wrote my senior paper on hard cider production, but since there were no mentors to learn the process from, I decided to come to California and took a job at Rudy von Strasser Winery, thinking that if I could learn to make wine, I could apply similar techniques back east. Like many before me, I was bitten by the wine bug and decided to pursue the passion further and enrolled in the winemaking program at UC Davis. After graduating in 1985, I decided that I wanted to focus my efforts on Cabernet Sauvignon and talked myself into an internship at Chateau Lafite Rothschild, becoming the first American to work at the chateau. Upon returning to Napa, I became an enologist at Trefethen Winery in Napa for 2 years, and then spent 3 years as the assistant winemaker under John Consgard at Newton Vineyard, before buying my Diamond Mountain estate in 1990. I'm currently celebrating the 20th anniversary. Von Strasser is one of the premier producers of Diamond Mountain District wines. I only make wines from this appellation. As a matter of fact, I was the person who spearheaded the move to make Diamond Mountain an AVA in the late 1990s. My wine portfolio includes 3 distinct tiers of red wine: the Diamond Mountain District tier, the Single Vineyard tier, and the Reserve tier. On top of these 3, I do make some specialty wines as well. The first tier, the Diamond Mountain District Cabernet Sauvignon, or as we call it, the DMD, makes up almost half of our small production. It is a great wine, both in terms of number 1, its style, and number 2, its value. Stylistically, it is designed with on-premise in mind. The wine is very aromatic. Its perfume jumps out of the glass immediately after opening it. Its tannin structure is both rich and full, yet soft on the finish. The alcohol is a more modest level. In a usual vintage, it's in the high 13 to low 14% range. It does not need a big steak, but can very happily pair with chicken, pasta, and almost any other hearty dish, although there's nothing wrong with having it with steak. As far as value is concerned, the DMD is the least expensive Cabernet Sauvignon for my appellation. It retails for $50 a bottle, and in a restaurant, even with a full markup, it should be on a wine list for between $60 and $90. This is a great price for a sommelier to be able to upsell a customer from a well-known, larger production wine to a small producer sub-AVA wine. Lastly, I would like to point out that the DMD is now exclusively being bottled with a VinoSeal glass stopper, so that the restaurant should have no fear of cork bottles. We have found this also to be a great selling point when the stopper is presented to the customer, as it is a very heavy natural closure and is met with a great deal of consumer appreciation. The second tier of wines consists of my single vineyard bottlings. I farm 6 different vineyards, all within the Diamond Mountain District appellation, and work hard to allow the grape characteristics of each site to shine through. I want each of these wines to be full-bodied and rich, but not overshadowed with too much oak, too much extract, or too much alcohol. I want those winemaking stylistic choices to be secondary, while the terroir or the flavor of the site becomes a defining characteristic of the wine. My flagship vineyard-designated wine is my Estate Vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon. This vineyard was originally planted in 1969 with budwood from both Martha's Vineyard and Bella Oaks Vineyard. The current plantings include 13 acres of Cabernet and an acre each of Petit Verdot and Malbec, which I use as blending tools. The 2007 vintage Estate Cabernet Sauvignon contains 80% Cabernet, 15% Petit Verdot, and 5% Malbec. This is a wine which will drink well tonight for those who like concentrated and full-bodied young wines, but will also easily age for 20 years with proper cellaring. At a suggested retail price of $75 a bottle, this wine is also a good value compared to other wines from within the AVA. The final tier is a wine I simply call Reserve. It is a 6 to 8 barrel selection of the top lots from my various vineyards. It is unique in the world of wine due to its varietal makeup. It contains 40% Cabernet Sauvignon, 40% Petit Verdot, and 10% each of Malbec and Merlot. I've been making a Reserve only in the top years since starting with my first one in 1995. My favorite description of this wine is not one I wrote, but is one by freelance wine writer Steve Pitcher, who marveled at how a wine could be both deeply concentrated and elegant at the same time. Steve wrote, "This wine is, quote, like a hippo on a high wire. This is an amazing act." Since this is the pinnacle of our winemaking, it is also our most expensive wine. However, compared to some of the other producers on Diamond Mountain, it is still a great value. It is important to remember that value is different for everyone. Lastly, on top of these three tiers I just told you about, I also make some specialty wines, which I would like to point out. I make a small amount of dry rosé, which I call Eye of the Diamond. I make a port out of the grape Petit Verdot, and the wine I have probably received the most press on these past few years is my Gruner Veltliner. I'm the first person in California to grow this Austrian grape, and since 2007 have been producing a small amount of this wine each year. Stylistically, I try to make all my wines to be varietally correct and fruit forward. I want the grape and the vineyard characteristic to be what you smell in the wine and what you taste. When you make as many different Cabernets as I make from all my different single vineyards, it's really important that the flavor of the vineyard comes through. If I was to over oak the wine or have the wine too high alcohol or have a stylistic component like that that took over the flavor, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference in the vineyards. And my goal is to really show the terroir, the microclimate of the vineyard. I want my alcohol to be moderate, and I really want the fruit to shine through. When I think back on the best wine that I've ever had in my life, it's not the most intense wine, it's not the one that dances on the table, it's the one that goes well with the food, that goes well with the friends I was with, and at the end of the evening, that's what I remember. I think wine needs to be balanced and be part of your lifestyle. Although I do not have any reviews of my 2007 vintage wines yet, my last few years' efforts have been very well rewarded. Each of the wines I made from the 2006 vintage received 90 points or better from the major wine magazines. As a winery, I've had the unique distinction of having been chosen as a Winery of the Year for 8 years in a row by Wines and Spirits magazine. My wines have graced the cover of 3 major wine magazines in the past 4 years, and my 2004 Reserve had the honor of being chosen as their Wine of the Year by Connoisseur's Guide to Fine Wine. These reviews and many other pieces of information are available on the wholesale side of our website. However, the most important accolades I get each year are the emails, Facebook comments, and tweets from my customers sharing with me how much they love my wine. This really fulfills my passion as a winemaker, knowing that my wine is being shared and enjoyed. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you and sharing a glass of von Strasser together when we meet. Thank you for taking time to watch this short video. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to call us at the winery. Cheers.